Good morning. It is a pleasure to have you here. Have you ever felt that, even after many years of life, a single sharp word from a loved one or a busy neighbor can still leave you feeling a bit overlooked or unsettled in our modern world, where opinions are loud and everything feels urgent? It is easy to feel that our peace of mind is at the mercy of others. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself in his private journals that you have power over your mind, not outside events. He believed that realizing this is where true strength is found. Consider a simple illustration. Imagine a morning when someone you care about seems distant or cold. You could spend the afternoon worrying about why, or you could choose to remain steady within your own heart. Today, we will explore the Stoic Buffer Zone to help you build that inner quiet through simple, practical steps. I invite you to stay with us as we walk through these reflections together. If you are ready to find that steady ground, please type the words, "I choose my quiet," in the comments below. I choose my quiet. The first pillar of the Stoic Buffer Zone is a principle known as the dichotomy of control. This is the simple but profound ability to distinguish between what belongs to us and what does not. The Stoics believed that much of our unhappiness comes from a single mistake. We try to control things that are outside of our power, while we neglect the one thing that truly belongs to us, which is our own mind. By drawing a clear circle around our lives, we can decide what is allowed to affect our peace and what must remain outside the gate. In our modern world, this principle is harder to follow than ever before. We live in a time of constant connection. We have phones in our pockets that tell us exactly when someone has read our message or when they are active online. Because we are so connected, we have developed a silent expectation that we should always be a priority to others. For many of us, especially as we move into the later years of life, this creates a painful form of loneliness. We wait for a text from a busy adult child. We wait for a call from a friend who promised to check in. When the phone stays silent, we do not just feel lonely, we feel forgotten. We feel that our value depends on someone else remembering us. This is the modern trap. We have placed our happiness in the hands of someone likely just as overwhelmed by life as we once were. Let us consider a modern illustration. Imagine a woman named Mary. Mary is 70 years old and lives alone. She spent her Saturday morning tidying her home, thinking that perhaps her son would call or visit with the grandchildren. She kept her phone close to her all day. Every time it chirped with a notification, her heart jumped, only to find it was an advertisement or a news alert. By 8 o'clock in the evening, the house felt very quiet. Mary sat in her favorite chair, feeling a heavy weight in her chest. She began to tell herself a story. She thought, "My son has forgotten me. I am no longer important to my family." This thought turned her quiet evening into a night of sorrow. When we look at Mary's situation through the lens of Stoic wisdom, we see that her pain did not come from her son's silence. Her pain came from her judgment of that silence. She had placed her peace of mind inside her son's schedule, which is something she cannot control. The philosopher Epictetus, who began his life as a slave and knew deeply what it meant to have no control over his external world, addressed this directly. He wrote in his handbook, The Enchiridion, that some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. Our opinions are up to us, and our own impulses and desires are up to us, but our bodies, pour possession, and our reputations are not. Epictetus taught that if you try to control what is not yours, you will end up frustrated and miserable. But if you focus only on what is truly yours, no one can ever hurt you or hinder you. This principle is vital to apply when you feel ignored by those you love. It is also helpful when you are struggling with a long-standing family conflict or a feeling of being betrayed by someone you trusted. You must ask yourself, does this person's behavior belong to me? The answer is always no. Their actions belong to them. Your only task is to manage your own heart and your own response. By doing this, you reclaim your dignity. You stop being a person who is waiting for permission to be happy. You become a person who provides their own light. I invite you to try a practical exercise right now, or perhaps tomorrow morning when you wake up. This is called the 2-column reflection. It takes only 10 minutes, but it can settle your mind for the entire day. Take a simple piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write the words, outside of my control. On this side, list the things that are weighing on you. You might write, my daughter's silence, or the news on the television, or the way my joints ache today. Spend a few minutes acknowledging these things. Then, move to the right side of the paper and write the words, inside my control. Here, you will list what you can actually do. You might write, I can choose to read a good book tonight. I can choose to speak kindly to myself. I can choose to go for a short walk. For the next 10 minutes, look only at the right side of that paper. Remind yourself that your peace lives there, in the circle of your own choices. When you find yourself drifting back to the left side, gently pull your attention back to what is yours. Do this exercise whenever the world feels like it is moving away from you. If you find comfort in this idea, please take a moment to participate in our community. Type the words, I focus on what I can control, in the comments. I focus on what I can control. By writing this down, you are making a small promise to yourself. You are choosing to stand firm in your own circle of focus. I focus on what I can control. Please repeat this to yourself one more time. I focus on what I can control. It is a simple truth, but it is the foundation of a quiet and dignified life. Thank you for being here with us. We are all walking this path together. The discipline of assent is the quiet guardian of your inner peace. It is the practice of monitoring the thoughts that enter your mind and deciding which ones you will believe and which ones you will set aside. Every moment of our lives, we are bombarded by impressions. We see a frown on a neighbor's face. We hear a sharp tone from a child. We feel a sudden ache in our bodies. These are just raw data, simple facts of existence. However, our minds are very fast, and they love to add a story to these facts. The mind tells us, that neighbor is judging me, or my child does not respect me, or this pain means I am falling apart. The discipline of assent is the wall we build between the event and the story. It teaches us that we do not have to agree with every thought that pops into our heads. We have the power to pause at the doorway of our mind and say to a troubling thought, wait. You are just an impression. You are not the thing you represent. By refusing to give our assent to negative judgments, we remain the masters of our own emotional state. We realize that our distress does not come from the world outside, but from the labels we choose to stick onto our experiences. Our peace is not something that people can take away from us, because our peace is found in our own judgment. We choose what we believe. We choose what we value. This is the foundation of a life that cannot be shaken by the winds of change or the words of others. In our modern lives, applying this principle is perhaps most difficult within the walls of our own homes. When we deal with family, we are not dealing with a blank slate. We are dealing with decades of history, old wounds, and deeply ingrained patterns. In a marriage of 40 years or a relationship with a sibling that spans a lifetime, a single word can carry the weight of 1,000 past arguments. We have triggers that have been shaped over generations. When a loved one makes a critical comment, it does not just feel like a small remark. It feels like a continuation of a story that has hurt us for a long time. We often react out of habit. We have a script that we follow. They say something hurtful, and we immediately feel the need to defend ourselves or strike back. In the modern world, we are also constantly told that we have a right to be offended and that our feelings are always valid. This makes it even harder to step back and ask if our feelings are actually helping us. We are surrounded by noise and fast-paced communication, leaving very little room for the slow, careful reflection that the discipline of assent requires. It is easy to be a philosopher when everything is quiet, but it is incredibly difficult when the person who knows you best knows exactly how to upset you. Imagine the story of Robert, a man who has recently reached his 70th year. This is a fictional illustration, but one that many of us might recognize in our own lives. Robert has spent his life working hard, and now he finds joy in the simple things, like tending to his small garden and enjoying the quiet of his home. One Sunday afternoon, his younger brother, Peter, comes over for a visit. Peter has always been the more competitive sibling, the one who measured success by the size of a bank account or the prestige of a title. As they sit on the porch, Peter looks out at the garden and lets out a small, dry laugh. He says, "I suppose this is what it comes down to, Robert. Pushing dirt around while the rest of the world moves on. I always thought you had more ambition than this." In an instant, Robert feels a familiar tightening in his chest. The heat rises to his face. He remembers being 10 years old and Peter mocking his school projects. He remembers being 40 and Peter bragging about a new car. Robert's mind immediately offers him a judgment. My brother is insulting my life. He thinks I am a failure. He is trying to make me feel small. Robert is ready to snap back. He wants to remind Peter about his own failed business deals. He wants to defend his dignity and prove that his quiet life is meaningful. The brief peace of the afternoon is on the verge of being shattered by a conflict rooted in 50 years of sibling rivalry. Let us look closely at what is happening within Robert's mind in this moment. Robert is not actually being hurt by Peter's words. The words themselves are just sounds, vibrations moving through the air. What is hurting Robert is the impression he has formed about those words. He has given his assent to the idea that Peter's opinion has the power to define his worth. He has accepted the judgment that he is being insulted. The Stoics would tell Robert that he is responsible for his own pain, because he is the one who chose to label the comment as an injury. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced constant betrayal and stress, wrote these words in his private meditations: "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." He reminds us that the mind is a fortress. If we do not let the feeling of being harmed inside, then we have not been harmed. Peter can say whatever he wishes. But those words cannot touch Robert's character or his actual worth. The only way Robert can be injured is if he agrees with Peter's low opinion of him. By recognizing that Peter's comment is just a reflection of Peter's own narrow perspective, Robert can choose to withhold his assent. He can see the comment for what it is, mere noise, and keep his peace intact. To help you find this same strength in your own life, there is a very simple and practical exercise you can begin today. We call it the 5-second gap. This is especially helpful when you are in a situation with a family member or a friend where you feel a sting or a trigger. When someone says something that makes your heart race or makes you want to argue, make a commitment to yourself. Do not let a single word leave your lips for 5 full seconds. Do not even allow your face to show your anger. In your mind, count slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. During those 5 seconds, look at the thought that just entered your mind. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me? Is this comment worth losing my tranquility over in that small gap of time? You are taking back your power. You are moving from a state of reacting like an animal to a state of responding like a wise person. You will find that by the time you reach 5, the initial rush of anger has already started to fade. You may still feel the emotion, but you are no longer a slave to it. You can then choose to respond with kindness, or with a simple smile, or with no words at all. Practice this today. Even with small annoyances like a slow driver or a cold meal, build the muscle of the 5-second gap so that when the big family conflicts arise, you are ready to stand your ground in peace. I choose my reaction. The third pillar of the Stoic Buffer Zone involves the stewardship of the present moment. This is built upon 2 profound concepts. The first is what the Stoics called this amor fati, or the love of one's fate. It is the practice of accepting your life story exactly as it has been written, including the hardships. The second is memento mori, the reminder that our time is limited. 2. Stoic. These are not dark thoughts. They are tools for clarity. They teach us that the past is a closed book and the future is a shadow. The only reality we truly possess is the single breath we are taking right now. We are the stewards of this moment, and how we use it determines the quality of our lives. In our modern lives, practicing this stewardship is incredibly difficult. Many of us, especially as we reach our 50s, 60s, and 70s, find that our minds tend to wander. We have more history behind us than we have future in front of us. This often leads to a cycle of overthinking. We look back at a career choice from 30 years ago, or a relationship that ended poorly, and we ask ourselves, what if? We replay old arguments in our heads as if we could change the outcome. At the same time, we look forward with a sense of unease. We worry about our health, the stability of the world, or how we will manage as the years pass. Modern technology often makes this worse. We are constantly reminded of the past through digital photos, and we are flooded with news that makes the future look frightening. We spend so much time in these 2 ghost worlds that we forget to inhabit the actual room we are sitting in. Let us look at a modern illustration. Imagine a woman named Susan. Susan is 65 years old and has recently retired. She should be enjoying her quiet mornings. But instead, she finds herself lying awake at 3 in the morning. Her mind is a whirlwind. One moment, she is replaying a mistake she made at work 10 years ago. feeling the same sting of embarrassment as if it just happened. The next moment, her thoughts jump to a medical appointment she has scheduled for next week. She imagines the worst possible results. She wonders if she will become a burden to her children. By the time the sun rises, Susan is exhausted. She has spent her entire night suffering through events that are either long gone or have not even happened yet. When we analyze Susan's situation, we see the profound wisdom in the words of the Stoic philosopher Seneca. Seneca was a man who faced immense pressure, eventually serving as an advisor to a difficult emperor and facing his own end with great dignity. In his letters to his friend Lucilius, Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He observed that many of the things that cause us the most distress are things that exist only in our minds. Susan is suffering in her imagination. The past mistake cannot be changed, and the future medical test has not yet spoken. By bringing her attention back to the present, she can find the buffer zone. She can realize that in this very second, she is safe. She is breathing. And she is okay. As the Stoics taught, the present is the only time we have to practice virtue and find peace. This perspective is especially helpful to apply when you are facing health challenges or when you are grieving a loss. It is also vital when you find yourself caught in the trap of overthinking old regrets. You must realize that your mind is trying to solve problems that do not exist in the physical world. You cannot fix the past, and you cannot live in the future. You can only be a good steward of this hour, whether you are a person of faith or a person of philosophy. There is a deep peace in realizing that your only job is to handle the next 5 minutes with grace and patience. I would like to share a practical exercise that you can do whenever you feel your mind drifting into regret or fear. We call this the senses check. It is a simple way to pull yourself out of the ghost worlds and back into the present reality. It takes only 2 minutes. Step number 1. Find a place to sit quietly and name 3 things you can see right now. Perhaps it is the way the light hits a photograph on the wall, the color of your curtains, or the texture of the rug. Look at them closely. Step number 2. Name 2 things you can feel physically. Notice the weight of your body in the chair. Feel the warmth of your clothing against your skin, or perhaps the coolness of the air on your hands. Truly focus on that physical sensation. Step number 3. Name 1 thing you can hear. It might be the hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of a bird outside, or even just the sound of your own breathing. By the time you finish these 3 steps, you have returned to the physical world. You have silenced the imagination and claimed your place as the steward of the present. Do this as many times as you need throughout the day. It is a way to tell your mind that you are here, and that here is a safe place to be. If this resonates with you, I invite you to join our community in the comments. Type the words, "I am here," and "This moment is enough." I am here, and this moment is enough. By writing this, you are anchoring yourself in the now. You are choosing to stop suffering in your imagination and start living in your reality. I am here, and this moment is enough. Please repeat that to yourself once more as you listen. I am here, and this moment is enough. This is the heart of a steady life. Thank you for walking this path with us. We are all learning, one moment at a time. The principle we must carry into the most difficult seasons of life is that of social duty combined with the preservation of our own character. The Stoics believed that we were born for one another and that our highest calling is to serve our fellow human beings with kindness and reason. However, they also taught that our only true possession is our own virtue. This means that while we are called to love and serve others, we are not required to let their actions or their suffering destroy our own peace of mind. We are like a candle in a dark room. Our job is to keep burning steadily, providing light for others, without allowing the winds of circumstance to blow our flame out. We serve best when we remain whole. This principle is incredibly difficult to apply in our modern world, particularly when we face the pain of betrayal or the heavy weight of caregiving. When someone we have loved for 20 or 30 years breaks our trust, it feels as though the very ground beneath our feet has vanished. We live in a society that often tells us our happiness depends on our relationships. So, when a relationship fails, we feel like we have failed. Similarly, for those of us who are caregivers for an aging spouse or a sick relative, the difficulty is found in the relentless nature of the work. Modern caregiving often happens in isolation. We feel the pressure to be perfect, to never feel angry, and to never feel tired. When we inevitably fall short of these impossible standards, we become our own harshest critics. We feel that because we cannot fix the situation, we are somehow losing our own value. Let us look at a modern illustration of betrayal. Imagine a woman named Diane. Diane discovered that a close friend, someone she had supported through many hardships, had been spreading unkind rumors about her. Diane felt a deep sense of injustice. She spent her days replaying every conversation they had ever had, wondering how she could have been so blind. She felt that this friend's betrayal had stolen her dignity and her past. Diane's peace was gone because she believed that her worth was tied to her friend's loyalty. When we analyze this situation, we find strength in the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. He was a man who was frequently betrayed by generals he trusted and even by family members. Yet he refused to let their character change his own. He wrote in his meditations that the best way of avenging yourself is not to become like the wrongdoer. This is a powerful shield for the heart. Marcus Aurelius reminds Diane that while her friend chose to be dishonest, Diane can still choose to be a person of integrity. The betrayal belongs to the friend. It is their burden and their failure. Diane's character remains hers to protect. By choosing not to become bitter, and by choosing not to seek revenge, she keeps her buffer zone intact. She realizes that no one can make her a lesser person without her consent. Now, let us consider the heavy path of caregiving. Imagine a man named John. John spends every hour of his day caring for his wife, who is struggling with memory loss. He loves her deeply, but he is exhausted. Some days, he loses his patience. Some days, he sits in the kitchen and weeps because he misses the woman she used to be. John feels like a failure because he is tired and because he cannot stop the progression of her illness. He feels that if he were a better person, he would handle this with a smile every single day. For John and for all of us who serve others, we must remember the Stoic view of duty. The Stoics did not ask for perfection. They asked for a steady effort toward virtue. Marcus Aurelius spoke to himself about this every morning. He wrote, "At dawn, when you rise reluctantly, let this thought be present: I am rising to the work of a human being." This means that caring for a loved one is not a burden to be escaped, but the very work we were built for. It is an act of supreme dignity. However, being a human being also means having limits. John is not failing because he is tired. He is simply experiencing the reality of his own nature. The buffer zone for a caregiver is the realization that you can be exhausted in body while remaining firm in your purpose. Your job is not to be a saint who never feels pain. Your job is to be a steady presence who continues to choose kindness. Even when your hands are heavy, if you find yourself in one of these difficult seasons, there is a practical exercise you can do right now to strengthen your heart. It is called the integrity audit. It takes only 5 minutes, and it helps you reclaim your power. Step number 1. Close your eyes and identify the person or situation that is draining your peace. Step number 2. Ask yourself this question: has this situation taken away my ability to be kind? If the answer is no, then you have not lost your power. Step number 3. Ask yourself, has this situation taken away my ability to be honest or to act with dignity? Again, if the answer is no, then your core self is still safe. Step number 4. For the next 60 seconds, focus only on your own character. Remind yourself that no matter what someone else does, they cannot touch the person you choose to be in this moment. You are the only person who can grant permission for your peace to be taken. This perspective is essential to apply when you are dealing with a difficult divorce, a workplace conflict, or the long days of looking after a family member. You must realize that you are doing the hard work of being human. In the case of betrayal, you are choosing to stay whole, while another person chooses to be broken. In the case of caregiving, you are choosing to stay present while the world feels like it is fading. This is not just survival, it is a form of quiet, heroic virtue. Whether you draw strength from your faith or from these ancient words, know that your character is a fortress that only you hold the keys to. If you feel the weight of these words today, I invite you to join our community in the comments. Type the words, "I am responsible for my own character," in the comments. I am responsible for my own character. By writing this, you are declaring that your worth is not tied to how others treat you, nor is it tied to the perfection of your service. It is tied to your choice to stay steady. I am responsible for my own character. Please repeat that to yourself one more time. I am responsible for my own character. You are doing good work, and you are not alone in the quiet struggle. Thank you for being here with us. We are all learning to be steady together. The final stage of establishing the Stoic Buffer Zone is the commitment to consistent daily practice. The Stoics believed that philosophy was not an academic subject to be studied and then set aside. Instead, they viewed it as a craft. Much like woodworking or gardening, they called it the art of living. To the Stoic, the mind is like a muscle that must be trained every single morning and reviewed every single night. The goal is to build what we call a quiet room within the mind. This is a mental space that remains still even when the world outside is in chaos. It is a place of refuge that you build brick by brick through small, repeated actions. The Stoics taught that we do not rise to the level of our expectations during a crisis. We fall to the level of our training. Therefore, the strength of your buffer zone depends entirely on the work you do when things are quiet. In our modern life, this kind of consistent practice is very difficult to maintain. We are living in the age of the immediate. We are used to quick fixes and instant results. If we try a new habit for 2 days and do not feel a total transformation, we often give up. For those of us who have lived many decades, there is also the hidden danger of believing that we are too old to change. We might say to ourselves, "This is just the way I have always reacted," or "It is too late to start a new way of thinking." Our modern environment is also designed to keep us in a state of constant distraction. From the moment we wake up, our phones and televisions are competing for our attention. They want us to be reactive, not reflective. To build a quiet room in this environment requires a deliberate choice to close the door on the noise and focus on the internal workshop of the soul. Let us consider a modern illustration of this journey. Imagine a man named George. George is 68 years old and has realized that his habit of getting angry at the morning news is making him a difficult person to be around. He feels that he has lost his sense of peace. George decides to commit to a 7-day plan to reclaim his mind. On the first day, it feels strange. He forgets to do his exercises. On the second day, he feels a surge of frustration when his computer malfunctions, and he reacts with his old bitterness. He almost gives up, thinking that he is simply too set in his ways. But George remembers that the Stoics did not ask for perfection. They only asked for the effort to be better today than he was yesterday. He decides to treat his mind like a garden that has been neglected for years. He knows he cannot pull every weed in one day, but he can clear a small patch every morning. When we look at George's struggle, we see the profound importance of the nightly review. This was a practice favored by many of the great Stoics, particularly Seneca. Seneca was a man of great influence and wealth, but he knew that his soul could easily be corrupted by the pressures of his life. Every night, after his household had gone quiet, he would sit and examine his entire day. He did not do this to punish himself, but to learn. He wrote that we should ask ourselves every night, "What ailment have you cured today? What failing have you resisted?" Seneca believed that by shining a light on our actions in the evening, we could go to sleep with a clear conscience and wake up with a stronger purpose. He taught that a life unexamined is a life that remains at the mercy of habit. By following this 7-day roadmap, George is not just changing his mood, he is becoming the master of his own character. I invite you to begin your own 7-day journey into the quiet room. This is a roadmap designed for the rhythm of our lives. It requires only a few minutes in the morning and a few minutes in the evening, every morning. Before you touch your phone or turn on the television, spend 5 minutes in pre-meditation. Sit quietly with your coffee or in your favorite chair and say these words to yourself. I will meet difficult people today. I will encounter ungratefulness, jealousy, and anger. I will not let these things touch my soul, for I know that those who act this way are simply my brothers and sisters who have lost their way. I will remain steady in my purpose. By doing this, you are putting on your armor before the battle of the day begins. You are preparing your buffer zone so that you are not surprised when life becomes difficult. For the first and second days of your journey, focus entirely on the 5-second gap. In every conversation, especially the ones that feel tense, count to 5 before you speak. Notice the urge to react, and let it pass. Notice the heat in your chest, and let it cool. Just 5 seconds. On the 3rd and 4th days, practice the 2-column reflection. Whenever you feel a worry about your family, your health, or the world, ask yourself, does this belong to me? If it is outside your control, place it in the left column and let it go. If it is within your power, place it in the right column and take one small action. On the 5th and 6th days, practice the senses check. Whenever you find yourself overthinking the past or fearing the future, stop Name 3 things you see, 2 things you feel, and 1 thing you hear. Pull yourself back into the physical room. Remind yourself that you are safe in this moment. On the 7th day, take time to review. Look back at the week and notice the small victories. Perhaps you didn't get angry at the person who cut you off in traffic. Perhaps you stayed calm during a difficult phone call with a relative. These are not small things. They are the signs that your quiet room is being built. Every evening, spend 5 minutes in reflection. Ask yourself the questions of Seneca. What ailment have you cured today? What failing have you resisted? Be kind to yourself. If you failed, simply acknowledge it and resolve to try again tomorrow. If you succeeded, take a moment to be grateful for your own strength. This nightly review is the final seal on your day. It ensures that your mistakes do not follow you into your dreams, and your progress is locked into your character. This roadmap is a way to reclaim your dignity and your peace. It is a way to show yourself that your best years are not behind you, but are happening right now. In the way you choose to handle your own mind, whether you find strength in your faith or in these ancient words, know that this practice is a gift you give to yourself and to everyone who loves you. When you are steady, you become a source of strength for others. You become the lightning rod instead of the sponge. If you are ready to begin this 7-day journey, I invite you to join our community and make a small declaration of intent. Type the words, "I am building my quiet," in the comments. I am building my quiet. By writing this, you are telling yourself and this community that you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your own peace. I am building my quiet. Please repeat that to yourself once more as you listen. I am building my quiet. You have the strength of the ancients within you, and you are not alone on this path. Thank you for spending this time with us. May your week be steady, and may your quiet room be strong. As we come to the end of our time together today, let us think back to Mary, sitting in her quiet home, waiting for a phone call to feel valued. Through the Stoic Buffer Zone, we have learned that Mary, and all of us, do not need to wait for the world to permit us to be happy. We have learned that true peace is not found by turning off the noise of the world, but by building a quiet room within our own minds. You are the author of your day. Even when the ink is difficult to write with, there is a great hope in realizing that while we cannot control the wind, we are the absolute masters of our own sails. To keep this flame burning, remember our simple roadmap for the next week. Spend 5 minutes each morning preparing your heart for the challenges of the day. Spend 5 minutes each evening reviewing your actions with kindness and honesty. Focus on the 5-second gap and the 2-column reflection. This is the work of a human being, and it is the most important work you will ever do. You are not alone in this effort. Thousands of us in this community are practicing these same steps right now, seeking to live with more dignity and less fear. We have the strength of the ancients standing behind us, and we have each other. Tonight, before you go to sleep, I invite you to try one small act of freedom. Leave your phone in another room and let your last thoughts be yours, not the world's. I would love to hear what one small step you will take tomorrow to protect your peace. Perhaps you will commit to that 5-second pause before you speak. Or perhaps you will spend a moment in gratitude for the present. Please share your small commitment in the comments below. Your words may be the exact encouragement someone else needs to read today. If these reflections have brought you a sense of steady ground, I invite you to join our community by subscribing and sharing this with a friend who might be seeking a quiet moment. Type the words "I own my peace" in the comments to seal your commitment. I own my peace. Please repeat it to yourself once more. I own my peace. These ideas are shared for reflection and personal growth, and they are not a substitute for professional mental health support. If you are going through something heavy, please reach out to someone you trust or a qualified professional. Thank you for listening and for being a part of this journey toward a steadier life. Until next time, stay steady and be very kind to yourself.